Welcome to our F3 podcast, where we discuss all things pertaining to faith, family, and finances. And we are your host today. I am Dr. Lionel M. Blair Sr., and I'm sitting next to Jesus Jr.
You better stop for these people start fussing in these comments.
I call her Jesus Jr. because I just say she's the perfect wife. All
Oh,
right, so she perfect like Jesus.
honey.
And there's for some of y'all who say that's blasphemy. The Father said, "Be ye perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect."
That's what it says.
All right. So, anyway, she's Dr. Jasmine Blair, and as always, we got a good one for you today.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Listen, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Shout out to all of our first time viewers, all of our first time listeners. If
Yes.
you are on the audio podcast, be sure to subscribe. That way, the new episodes can be pushed to your mobile device every time we drop a new one. And check out the link in the description of the video as well in the show notes. If you have a show topic, click that link there. Not only can you support the podcast there, but you can also send us a voice mail about what type of topic you want to hear from, whatever type of question that you have. And then you'll see some links there to check out some of our other products and services and things like that. But this is a hotly debated topic. And I mean, I think it will always be that because you have people with such strong opposing views, on both sides of this topic.
Right.
But we're going to talk about it. And this is an ongoing thing. Should my pastor get paid a salary? I can't think of why you wouldn't want your pastor to get paid a salary. But let's put this in context. Okay. 97% of churches operate off of donations.
Yep.
Right? 97% of churches operate off of donations. So pastors who do get a salary, I mean, they're literally, if they have no other business, no other streams of income, they're literally at the mercy of people's generosity. People don't give, church bills don't get paid. They give a little bit or they cut back. People go through struggles. Yes, it's a struggle for everybody, but the reality is the church then has to make a choice. Do we pay the pastor? We keep the lights on. We pay the pastor. We keep the doors on. We pay the pastor, or we keep the youth event, the homeless feeding, whatever it is that you're doing. And that becomes a difficult decision. But the truth of the matter is most pastors don't get a salary. And for the ones that do, it's often not a lot. Now, of course, if you got 5,000 people, obviously what you have to work with for a salary looks a little bit different than if you've got 50 people. But the reality of it is most pastors put in the equivalent of a job and a half when it's done correctly. When it's done correctly. How does it when it's done correct? So let me give you the receipts. Okay. Prayer. Well, the pastor's supposed to be praying anyway. No, not their personal prayer. Prayer for the church, prayer for the people that's going around lying on the church, prayer for the new members, prayer for the elders that can't get along, prayer for the church. That takes time. Okay. That's in addition to their personal prayer life, their personal worship time. We're not talking about that. Prayer for the ministry, prayer, preparation, and studying to deliver the word. Okay, that takes time. When you actually know how to preach and you actually know how to study, you've got to go through your Bible, you've got to go through concordance, you got to go through books, you got to get book, chapter, verse. That takes time to prepare a message. And then if you are more descriptive and you got to come up with a whole demonstration, a whole praise day, all that takes time. But it takes time to prepare a message. Travel. You've got to drive to and from work. That takes time. That takes gas. That's wear and tear on your vehicle. Unless the church has given you a take-home car to drive for the purposes of ministry, you are putting wear and tear on your vehicle. Okay. Then you've got the actual service. Okay. Then you've got midweek, whether it's Bible study, testimony service, you're having a youth event, community outreach, whatever it is. You've got leadership training, eldership training. If you're running a Bible college or some type of school of ministry within the church, you've got additional time that you are taking out for that. Then you have to factor in leadership meetings, which, yes, there's a lot of meetings that could be an email, but you got to have a real meeting at some point. Okay, time to counsel with families, time to counsel with marriages, to have a new members class of some sort to integrate the new members. Yes, you can have elders and things in place to help with that, but oftentimes the pastor has to show up at some point. People need to meet the pastor. They need to know the pastor. God forbid somebody has an emergency, you're going to the hospital, somebody passes away, things of that nature. So that's a time and a half job right there. That is time and a half. That is a whole full-time job. Everything that I just described, when it is done correctly every single week. And then you factor in, that you travel from time to time, different places. That is a lot. That's a lot. Then, my God, the pastor want to write a book, we quick to call him a hireling. Or they putting a book out there, they just doing it for money. Pastoring is a full-time job. It is a busy job. And when it is done right, it is something that is tiresome. Let me ask you this. Are you going to get up and get dressed and go to work every day for free? No. You're not going to go to work for one day for free. Half of y'all won't even volunteer somewhere for free. But then we look at most pastors who get up until that ministry grows to where they can get a salary. They don't get a salary. And they show up and they preach and they do it gladly. And then when they get to the place where they do, people have a problem. Why should your pastor take 40 plus hours away from their family, from whatever else God has called them to do, and do that and not receive anything in return? That is the real question. Why should they not receive anything in return? That's a lot of time. That's a lot of effort. That is time that could be put into their families. And then we look at, some of these divorces that are happening in the church. Oh, well, he's never home. She's never home. They're always at the church. They're always doing ministry. Church has become the unspoken mistress in a lot of these Christian divorces. And again, that's a whole nother episode of itself, because there's a right or wrong way to balance between ministry and the rest of your responsibilities. But it's safe to say a lot of pastors have sacrificed their marriage or let their marriage go lacking for the sake of their people, trusting that God will be able to hold it all together for them. And whether they had the right perspective when they did that or not, the reality is that most people are not appreciative of a pastor that makes those hard choices.
Right.
I'm gonna kick this over to you. I'm getting off my soapbox right now.
It's all right. It's all right, because people need to hear that. Why a pastor shouldn't get a salary. This is outside the United States of America. They say pastoring is one of the most stressful jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Leading people is one of the most stressful jobs you can ever have. And I remember last time I did a teaching on this some years ago. It was on YouTube. It's down. It's taken down now. But I did a teaching on why a pastor should get paid. That was my most watched. That was my most watched video of all time.
Which one?
And it was my most hated video of all time.
Which one?
Why a pastor shouldn't get paid.
Oh yeah.
Why a pastor should get paid. And here it is. But the scriptures are clear on this, and I'm gonna give y'all a Bible. I'm going to give y'all a Bible on this, okay? And since some folks be thinking I'm lying, some folks be thinking I'm lying, so I'm gonna give you Bible right here. All right, I'm gonna go to 1 Timothy 5. 1 Timothy 5. Let me go here. See, because some folk be thinking I'm lying. Okay, let's see. All right. All right, here it is. It says, for 1 Timothy 5, verse 17, it says, let the elders who rule well be counted worthy of double honor,
Mm-hmm.
Check out the word double honor there. It says, especially those who labor in the word and doctrine. So the one is up there preaching every Sunday, the one is up there preaching all the time. Okay, that one, right? It says, for the scripture says, you shall not muzzle the ox while it treads out the grain, and the laborer is worthy of his wages. You see that? The laborer is worthy of his wages. So it tells me that teaching and preaching is labor.
Come on now.
Shepherding and spiritual parenting and all that stuff is labor. Okay. Leading is labor.
Labor. All
So
right.
so so according to scripture, anyone who labors should get wages.
Come on now.
It says especially denoting priority. The first one who should get paid in the church is the pastor or the senior leader or whoever. That's the first one.
The first
because
one.
it said, let the elders who rule well be counted worthy of double honor, especially denoting priority, those who labor in word and doctrine. So those who do the bulk of the teaching and the preaching should be getting paid. Why? Because it's labor.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't know what kind of labor it is until you get in and you start doing it for a while. We've been doing this thing for how long now? Jesus Christ.
It's been a long time.
We've been doing this for a while. Okay? It's labor.
Yes, indeed.
It's labor. Just this year alone, I've preached in so many different places. That's labor.
Mm-hmm.
Labor. All right. So now let me show you something else.
Okay.
I'm gonna show you what Paul said to the church of Corinth. 1 Corinthians chapter 9. Let's go here. Because see again, folks be thinking I'm lying. Folks be thinking I'm lying. Well, Paul had a hard time with these jokers here in Corinth. It says here, verse 7, whoever goes to war at his own expense, who plants a vineyard and does not eat of his fruits, or who tends a flock and does not drink of the milk of the flock. Do I say these things as mere men, or does not the law say the same also? For it is written in the law of Moses, you shall not muzzle an ox while it treads out the grain. We just read that, right? And it is is it oxen God is concerned about? Or does he say it together for our sakes? For our sakes, no doubt, this is written, that he who plows should plow in hope. In hope. And he who threshes in hope should be partakers of his hope. So the preacher who labors should hope to be compensated.
Should hope.
Hope. Right? Then it says, if we have sown spiritual things for you, is it a great thing that we reap your material things?
Come on.
Okay. See, y'all think, oh, pastor poured out to us, so we just gonna pray for pastor, intercede for pastor. It don't say exchange spiritual for spiritual only. It
That's
says
right.
exchange spiritual for the natural.
Come on.
Okay. Your pastor preach to you every week, okay, or they oversee and make sure that you good. Guess what? They need to get paid.
That's right.
Okay. If others are partakers of this right over you, are we not even more? So in other words, you pay everybody else to preach to you, but I'm your spiritual father, I'm your covering, and you don't give me nothing?
Come on.
This is the problem with Corinth. They gave to everybody else except the ones who birthed them and established them. Okay? And then it says, nevertheless, we have not used this right. He said this is a right here. They have a right to receive. He said, but we have not used this right, but endure all things. Don't you know that when you don't give your leader what's due, the rights that they do, that they begin to endure stuff
Mm.
and go through unnecessary stuff? Okay. He said, "What we but endure all things as we hinder the gospel of Christ. Do you not know that those who minister of the holy things eat of the things of the temple,
Mm.
and those who serve at the altar partake of the offerings of the altar? Even so, the Lord has commanded that those who preach the gospel should live from the gospel."
Mm.
Did you see that? Those who preach the gospel should live from the gospel. So those of us who doing all this preaching all the time, we should have the hope of being compensated. Okay. It says, "But I've used none of these things, nor have I written these things that it should be done to me. For it would be better for me to die than that anyone should make my boasting void. For if I preach the gospel, I have nothing to boast of, for the necessities laid upon me. Yes, woe is me if I preach not the gospel." In other words,
Mm.
I have a right to receive from you, but you already gave to everybody else. So I'm not going to use this right. Okay. But whether you give or not, I still have to preach the gospel. Don't you know that whether you give or not, the preacher still has to preach the gospel?
Mm.
I mean, nowadays, a lot of preachers are quitting because they're not being honored. They're not being compensated. But Paul was like, listen, whether you give or not, I still got to preach.
Mm.
And he said, this is my boasting right here. My boasting is the fact that y'all ninjas are stingy.
Mm.
Y'all ninjas are stingy. Okay. But I'm still preaching with or without your assistance.
Mm.
I'm still ministering to y'all and covering y'all, and y'all dishonor me on a regular basis. This was Paul's boast. You understand? But it is clear. When are we going to start giving? When are we going to start giving leaders their rights?
Come on.
Y'all rather pay the musicians than the pastor.
Come on now.
Musicians feel like they have a right to be paid before the pastor. What is this? What is this? The pastor should be the first one to get a salary.
They watching over people's souls.
But the pastor, he deprives himself of a salary, but he the one paying the musician.
Come on.
What is this?
Something ain't right.
Baby, we will worship over tracks. Remember them days we used to worship over tracks?
Yes, indeed.
We will worship over tracks. Okay, before we start paying musicians, before I can get a salary. That's right, I said it. I ain't paying no musician before I get paid. And that's just a fact of life.
Yeah.
So here it, y'all get mad, but and then y'all talk about pimp preachers and all this other. Oh, they need to get a job. This is a job. Don't you know leading a group of people is a job?
Mm.
Shepherding people is a job. That is a job. That the stress of it is equivalent to a full-time job. If you're doing it right. So to want your leader to get out there and work.
Mm.
Your leader should not be forced to start a business unless they feel the call to do it.
That part. Hello.
And see, back in the day, it was a lot easier for pastors to get a salary than it is today.
Mm-hmm.
Just because of the mindset of the people. Pastoring was a secured income back then. Nah, it ain't, because everybody else is, going through their stuff. But see, you got to be able to trust God with your finances. I have people, we have people come to us all the time like, listen, I'm believing God for my finances because I want to be able to give. I want to be able to give. I don't want y'all to want for anything. And guess what? God is positioning them now to be able to do that. You understand what I'm saying? But the point is that a lot of y'all, you can set aside a little extra, okay? you can set aside a little extra $100 or so a month to put your pastor on a salary.
Come on.
If you got a congregation of 50, if 50 of them people put together $100, how much is that?
It's
I think it's
$5,000.
$5,000.
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't even make that in a month.
And I get them time to have a decent amount after
Yeah.
their taxes.
Right. Yeah.
So that's $60,000 a year before
$6,000 a
taxes.
year. A lot of people don't.
They're still not rich
They're
off
not
of
rich,
that.
right? You see what I'm saying? You know, I mean, we just do our pastors so dirty, and then they got families, and they got to counsel you in between of taking care of their families and stuff like that. Man, listen. And then if God got them traveling and all that, man, that stuff costs money. But see, we don't prioritize the pastor because we don't prioritize the kingdom. Because our pastors, our spiritual fathers and mothers, and our senior leaders, okay, that's a kingdom institution. That's a kingdom thing. That's a kingdom thing. A lot of y'all respect y'all bosses more than you respect your pastors. You in sin.
Mm.
Oh yeah, but don't you know that there's a blessing in meeting the man and woman of God's needs?
Come on.
Look at Elijah and the widow, man.
Come on.
She was like, you know, listen. I only got enough for me and my son, and he was like, bake me a cake first. Like, she like, are you kidding me? Me and my son, me and my house, my son. Some of y'all will be like, I ain't taking no food out of my kid's mouth to feed the pastor, to feed the prophet. But she did. And she ended up having more than she could ever ask for.
And no, we're not telling you starve your family.
No,
some of y'all done missed the point right there. Missed the point. Bring it back. Bring it back.
Yeah, thank you. Because some people they
what he just said. Y'all heard that clip being somebody blog somewhere.
Well, we got Blair again. We got him. We got him. We got him because half of y'all be listening don't like me no way. But we got Blair again. Look at him. These folks need to get a life. Anyway, so you know, sometimes God would allow the man and woman of God to have a need to get a blessing to you. Yeah. Because he said, listen, go to Zarephath, and there's going to be a widow woman that's going to sustain you. Through her sustaining and providing for the man of God, even in her lack.
Come on.
Even in her lack, God opened up a door and blessed her. You understand?
Come on.
Paul dealt with a lot of stinginess, and he handled it better than me. I ain't gonna tell you what I would have done, because some of y'all probably ain't gonna think I ain't saved. But let me show you what happens when you provide for the necessities of your man or woman of God.
Come on.
All right. When you make the effort to pay your pastor, put him on a salary. All right. Let's see. Philippians 4. Right, and y'all quote this is the famous scripture y'all quote, right? Let's see. I'm gonna start at verse 14. I'm gonna start back. It says, nevertheless, you have done well that you shared in my distress. This church shared in Paul's distress. Okay, so that means that, hey, you got a need, it becomes our need.
Come on.
Okay, you lack, it becomes our lack. Your debt becomes our debt. Your trials become our trials. Okay. It says, now you Philippians know also that in the beginning of the gospel, when I departed from Macedonia, no church shared with me concerning giving and receiving, but only you. Only you. Right? It says, for even in Thessalonica, you sent aid once and again for my necessities.
Come on.
So even when this man was visiting other churches, okay, even when this man was visiting other sister churches, they still provided for him. It says, Not that I seek the gift, but that I seek the fruit that abounds towards your account. And see, here's the heart of Paul. He was like, man, listen, I need assistance. I need money. I need help. But I am not in this thing for me.
Come on.
I'm in this thing for the gospel, and I'm in it for you. Right? He says, not that I seek the gift, but I seek fruit that abounds to your account.
Mm.
So he also recognized that there is fruit abounding to your account when you provide for the man and woman of God.
Come on.
It says, indeed, I have all and abound, and I am full, having received from Aphroditus the things sent from you. He says, what? He says, I've received all and abound, and I am full.
Come on.
Come on. Come on. Do your leader have all that they need? Are they growing and abounding? And are they full?
Come on.
Okay. Well, we out here struggling too. We out here going through.
Oh, that's the famous lie, ain't it? Ain't that the
Yeah.
famous lie?
Yeah.
We struggling too.
Yeah, but you can afford to go out to eat. You go to Outback Steakhouse 2-3 times a month.
That part.
Okay. It says, having received from Aphroditus the things sent from you, a sweet smelling aroma, an acceptable sacrifice.
Come on now.
Sometimes provided for the man and woman of God can be initially sacrificial.
Exactly.
Initially. It'll always be like that.
Come on.
Sometimes it can be initial, just like the widow woman at Zarephath. That was sacrificial.
Mm-hmm. And out of that sacrifice came her overflow.
Come on. Come on.
Somebody missed that right there.
So, some of y'all need to learn to sometimes sacrifice. And that sacrifice could be in the amount you sow or the amount that you do.
Right.
Right? It says what? Well pleasing to God. And here's the famous blessing. And my God shall supply all your need according to his riches and glory by Christ Jesus. You have no right to partake of that blessing if you don't give to the man or woman of God.
Exactly.
See, y'all quote that for yourself. See, this don't got to do with tithing.
Right.
Okay. This don't got to do with tithing or offering, really. It has to do with making sure that your pastor, your man or woman of God, your spiritual father or mother is straight.
Mm-hmm.
I know we don't like. Am I reading the same? I mean, I know I got the Orthodox Study Bible, but I got King James here too. I got King James here too. It says the same thing. It says the same thing. Okay, maybe y'all reading that Queen James. Okay, all right, but you know, the Bible is clear. And I know we got jacklegs out here. And y'all give to them a lot.
Mm-hmm.
However, again, and I'm going to say this. Help me today. Elijah said, bake me a cake first. If you learn to put your leaders financially first, then it'll bless your rest. I know we don't like that. That ain't popular, but the system works.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that you got to work the system and stop giving all these jacklegs and these false prophets. Because nowadays they all over social media, begging for a seed. I mean, begging, but they have no fruit. They have no ministry fruit to show that they're actually doing the work of God. Some people get on Facebook Live, okay. Some people get on Facebook Live, no calling, no fruit, or anything like that, just so they can get an offering from you.
And some of them, y'all be laughing at them and giving to them when they clearly need help.
Yeah. So, should my pastor get paid a salary?
Absolutely. They are laboring.
They're laboring. But then you get mad when they don't have time for you. Well, they got to secure their streams of income.
Come on now.
They have to secure. Hear me today. They have to secure their streams of income. Like I said, y'all say y'all love y'all pastors. Y'all should, and a lot of people love to say, "Well, this is pastoral idolatry. This is idolatry." No, you're just dishonorable. You don't understand the value in people.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why you will always be lonely, bitter. Some of y'all are lonely and bitter right now. This is why some of y'all will always be lonely, bitter, okay, and dissatisfied in ministry. You gonna always be the little rebel pointing out stuff. Everything witchcraft except you.
That part.
Everything witchcraft except you. Why? Why? You understand the value in people because you've never been relieved like that, or you've given to some jackleg. The principles of God work, okay, and God don't change His standards because you've been hurt.
Mm.
You just need to be a little more sensitive to the Spirit of God when it comes to picking and choosing who
Mm-hmm.
you align with. But yeah, I listen. I ain't listen unless God tell me to. I ain't going nowhere when they not paying me something. Why? Because the workman is worthy of his labor. Now I've preached places for free, plenty. All right, and I've been to places where I've put more in than what I got out.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but I should have the liberty to do that.
Right. You shouldn't just expect it.
Yeah, you know, I've been places, man. I've been places and labored real hard. They didn't hardly give me
Wouldn't
a
even pay
whole
for the
lot.
hotel.
Oh yeah, I've been there too. You know, we've been places. You know, we ministered, and barely got a seed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I've been given $50, $75.
For
hundred
ministering
dollars.
3 days, 2 days.
That was what, $95 or something like that. I was given $95. I ministered for
That
like,
didn't even cover the gas to get there.
it just showed didn't. It showed didn't. It ended up having to buy more. Anyway, so you know, I know, and she knows what it's like to not be properly compensated. I done stayed in people's houses. I mean, and all that, and the houses weren't comfortable. Not like it was a mansion or something. The bed was uncomfortable. Everything was uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Been there before. Never again. Never again. But I'm just saying, you know, we have to see when Jesus sent out the 12. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sorry, I got to read this.
Go ahead.
I got to read this. Uh, I got to read it. Matthew 10, one of my favorite little passages right here. Because when Jesus commissioned the 12, he told them what? Preach the kingdom, go saying the kingdom of heaven is at hand. He said, go cleanse, heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, raise the dead, cast out devils, freely as you receive, freely give. Then he said what? In verse 9, provide neither gold nor silver nor brass in your purses, nor scrip for your journey, neither two coats, neither shoes, nor yet stays for the workman is worthy of his meat. He
Mm.
told them, don't bring. He said, don't even bring your own personal money because to show that they won't broke. He said, don't bring silver, gold, none of that stuff. So that
Right.
means that they had it.
He wouldn't have told them not to bring it if they didn't have it.
Yeah, leave your money at home.
Come on.
Okay,
Mm.
leave your money at home. Your pastor, if your pastor struggling financially, the congregation is in sin.
Mm.
If your pastor, your spiritual motherfucker, they preach it every week, they preach it every month, they overseeing, they making sure everything is in order and stuff, and they are struggling in any
Mm-hmm.
kind of way, it is a reproach to the congregation.
Mm.
This is how God gonna judge it. And after a while, God will take them from you if you're not careful. God will take them from you and give you somebody immature.
Mm-hmm.
because immature leadership is a judgment against the people. That's the Bible too. I don't got too much time to get into that. It says, "In whatsoever city or town you shall enter in, inquire who is worthy, and there abide till ye go thence." What did it mean? What it means, inquire those who's worthy, those who compensate,
Come on.
those who accommodate, those who compensate and accommodate. Okay. Those are the ones who are worthy. That means that if you got it and you don't give it, you're unworthy. If you can do it and you don't, you're unworthy of their ministry. You're unworthy of what God has put in them. Okay. Huh? It says, "Whatsoever city or town you go into, inquire who is worthy, and there abide till you go thence. And when you come into an house, salute it. And if the house be worthy, let your peace come upon it. But if it be not worthy, let your peace return to you." Don't you know that it is in the ability of the apostle and the, whoever the leader is, whoever, to be able to release peace, shalom, prosperity, tranquility, all that. A lot of y'all don't have no peace because you ain't doing your leader right.
Come on.
Oh, come on. A lot of y'all don't have no peace. You don't have no prosperity. You don't got none of that because you ain't doing your leader right. I'm in the book. I don't, you can't debate me. You can debate me with something, but you can't debate me in this Bible. I will eat you alive. You will never win against me. None of you will ever win against me in this book. You understand? It says what? It says what? When you come into a house, salute it. In other words, salute it when you first come in. But if you see that listen, if your pastor comes to your house, everything should be centered and accommodated around that pastor. Your man or woman of God come to your house, guess what? Or come in your area, whatever. Everything should be catered towards them. Why? Because they're carrying the word, the message, everything. God sent them for you.
Come on.
See, we have this treasure in earthen vessels. We want to hurry and get the treasure while mistreating the vessel. And the vessel is where you got to retrieve the treasure from. So if you don't treat the vessel right, then guess what? They have a right to withhold the treasure. So are you worthy? Are you worthy? Because if all y'all driving high-end cars and your pastor driving a hoopty, you ain't worthy.
Oops.
I'm talking about if he be called of God, because some of these jokers not called of God.
Come on.
But I'm talking about the ones who are called of God, the ones that are doing the work. If your pastor ain't on a salary, you are unworthy. I know people don't like this.
Woo!
Well, they need to go get a trade like Paul. Paul had to work his trade because the church was stingy.
That part.
And I'm not against pastors getting a trade and getting the business and stuff like that, but you got to feel called to that. You shouldn't be forced into that. A lot of us who are senior leaders, we're forced into that.
Yeah.
Because the church is stingy. Well, it's the economy today and stuff like, man, listen, you can prosper and thrive in any economy if you apply the principles of this book. Don't
Netflix
tell me about
still going up on their prices and y'all still
buying them.
It ain't the economy.
Okay. Hulu price is still the same. You may have to downgrade to the commercial. We got the non-commercial
DoorDash that went up and y'all still paying for it.
Yeah, them delivery fees get off the chain.
Y'all still paying for it.
Still paying for it.
The economy is not affecting your personal enjoyments and your personal entertainment, but the economy is affecting your ability to assist in compensating your pastor.
Everybody in a ministry should get together and decide if your pastor's not on a salary. Listen, and it's not even it's not a mega church. It's not even about a mega church. I just showed you 50 people. 50 people can give their pastor a $5,000 salary. A $5,000 salary. Most people don't even make that in a darn month.
And they still not gonna be filthy rich off that.
No, $5,000 ain't no money. That ain't no money. Okay, that $5,000 is chump change, and here it is. A lot of people don't even make that. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm.
So yeah, I'm telling you. And see, this is why. See, some of y'all owe apostles and prophets right now. You owe fathers and mothers right now.
Oh
You owe
yeah.
leaders right now because there was a blessing to you and your house and your children and your business and all that other stuff. And then they had a season where they struggled and they lost stuff.
Mm.
They lost stuff. They lost
Mm.
their house because you wouldn't give.
Mm.
Their car was repossessed because you had it to give and you didn't.
Mm.
And don't throw in that worst case scenario stuff. Well, leaders have abused the flock, and leaders have done this and done it, abused the flock. Yeah, leaders have abused the flock, but it don't change the principle.
That doesn't apply to 97% of pastors.
No, you just need to just find the right pastor
Mm-hmm.
that you can be a blessing to.
If you can't find one, all these pastors in America, you can't find one that you can be a blessing to without finding something wrong. One.
I'm trying to tell you.
Just one.
When I started to get this revelation, God began to put it in me. I stopped letting people do that to me.
Mm-hmm.
I stopped letting people do that to me. Oh, the gospel is free. That's a darn lie. Stop that. Stop that. Because Jesus paid for it with his life, number one.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But number two, go ye is going to cost ye. Ministry ain't free.
That's it.
Huh? Ministry ain't free. Plane tickets cost, gas costs, hotels cost.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. And what do we got to pay a babysitter? Babysitting costs. Okay. Oh, let me say that again. Babysitting costs. House sitting, babysitting, all that.
Mm-hmm.
It costs money. Everything costs money. You pay for water, come out the darn faucet. Unless you got a well. Okay. You pay for electricity. Everything that listen, everything is paid for. Everything you see up here paid for. The internet paid for.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The streaming device is paid for. Our clothes are paid for. Everything is paid for. The mics, everything is paid for.
Mm-hmm.
Everything costs money. Everything costs money except life. It did, but see, you still need money to live.
Mm-hmm.
You need money to live long because you got to put the right stuff in your body. But anyway, that's the whole. Amen. So, in conclusion, and I'm gonna pass it over to you. In conclusion, your pastor, should my pastor get paid a salary?
Absolutely.
Yes. And more. And more. And more. Because leading from a senior's seat is a stressful job. I'm losing hair now, y'all. I know I'm losing hair. Stressful. I love what I do, but it's stressful.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, I'm trying to regrow my little hair back.
I'm gonna just let the gray come on in. I don't know.
Yeah, the gray is your glory, baby. You look good with the gray. They're my gray hairs. Okay, I got grays coming in. I got little strands here and there. But I'm thinning at the top. Okay. Shoot, like this is and this why the pastors need vacations.
Yes, indeed.
Y'all be getting mad. Pastors have been on the third vacation this year. Yes, because it's stressful. I know one pastor. He takes, I think it's August. I think it's either July or August. He takes the whole month off. He takes the whole month off and let his staff run the church, and he goes out of state or out of town with him and his wife for a whole month.
Mm-hmm.
For a whole month, he don't do no ministry.
We going out the country.
Yeah, for real. Might go to Switzerland somewhere with all them beautiful mountains, all that beautiful green stuff. Yeah.
Well, we're going to go ahead and close this up. This is definitely a lot for you guys to think of, but tell us in the comments, what do you think? How do you feel? Have you been a part of a ministry where they kind of transition from how they was doing things to giving a pastor salary? Have you always been a part of a church where the pastor got a salary? Tell us in the comments. We definitely want to hear from you. And until next time on the F3 podcast,
We
goodbye.
love y'all.